So the fifth love language on your list there is physical touch. And it's about figuring out where people are on sort of the continuum of untouchable versus craving touch. There are some people who don't want to hug, they don't want to shake hands, they don't want to do any of that, do an elbow maybe or something like that, or a high five. But there are other people where their love language is physical touch. And this could be someone you work with, it can be someone in your family, it could be a love relationship, it could be a friend. That might be their language of love, or it's your language of love. And again, we're back to communicating that with each other. We're not talking about sexual touching because we have societal norms. There are things that are appropriate in one place aren't appropriate in another place. We have to stay aware of that. We have to stay aware of what's reasonable and what makes sense, and also of how to communicate that to people. This is all about getting your needs met and meeting the needs of others. So think about everyone in your relationship and sort of take a little inventory. You'll have a sense. You'll have a sense of what it is that speaks to them, and if you have let them know what it is that speaks to you. That's really important. The non-sexual touch is very, very powerful. It could be a pat on the back, like I said, it could be a high five. For some people, it's a full-on hug. It's really powerful, and it gets the message across. So I was going to give you a little assignment just to think about. You don't have to do it here. But when you're processing all this, start thinking about 2 work touches you can do with somebody you work with that you know would appreciate getting that kind of touch. 2 work touches. It could be a handshake, it could be a fist pump, it could be a pat on the back, whatever that is with that person, and what you like. Do you need more than a pat on the back? Do you need more than a fist pump? What do you really need? Think about 2 also for friends. Think about your friends. Think of 2 appropriate touches that are appropriate to friendship, and could let the other person know how much they're appreciated, or could let you know how much your friend appreciates you. Then go to your family, do the same thing about processing with your family. Different people in your family. Some you're close to, some you're not. But you kind of got to be aware, if you're going to be in a relationship with people, what their comfort zone is, what they need from you and what you need from them. And it needs to be communicated. I already mentioned keeping the boundaries and keeping things appropriate. So the other thing I was going to share with you is, to me, there's another love language, and it's just, you guys are going to say, oh yeah, sure, well, of course. It's number 6 would be communication, because I really feel like communication is a love language in and of itself. And relationships can be formed or broken via communication, or lack thereof, or unclear communication, or dysfunctional communication, or whatever. So when you're communicating, regardless of who you're communicating with, this may sound just like normal stuff. We don't always pay attention to it. It's all about focus, attention, listening. I think we go through life trying to think what we're going to say next in this conversation. I'll use networking for an example. You go to a networking event, and as a business person, and what happens at a networking event? People stand up and they tell you a little bit about what they do. But so many of us are so stuck in the me that we're barely hearing what the person's telling us that they do, because we're thinking about what we're going to say when it's our turn. And then people start to wonder, well, I had a woman who I've known for a year, and I've gone to networking. She came up to me maybe last month and finally said, oh, I finally understand what you do. And I was like, what? I mean, I've been saying this and saying it every which way. And she just went, I finally get it. So I wasn't cognizant of the fact that I wasn't being attended to, and somehow my message wasn't getting across clearly. Okay? Always keep an open mind too. If you're a good listener, if you're a good communicator, your mind is open. You don't react. I think we all tend to react. We hear something, it feels like an affront of some sort, and there's a reaction. Instead, you need to be proactive when you are responding in communication. That means asking questions. That means clarifying. That means checking for accuracy, making sure you heard the message correctly. That always helps everyone feel like they're being listened to. And it has to be genuine. You can't pretend. Because people pick up on it, you know. We may not be in a nonverbal communication, but throughout our daily lives, we're sort of transparent, and you can tell. You can kind of tell. People pick up on it. And the other big rule is no garbage dumping. Has anyone ever heard of that? No garbage dumping? Garbage dumping has to do with, I want to say it's like almost vomiting on another person. You did this, and you did that, and you did this, and you did that, and it really upset me, and I don't like it, and you did this, and you did that. You're useless, you haven't helped me, you blah, blah. You know, that's garbage dumping. Communication isn't about that. Communication is a love language, and it's about owning what you're talking about. Not pointing the finger, not calling someone names, not making a list of everything they haven't done. It's all about owning it. It has to come from you, and it has to, the only way another person can hear it is if you sort of cup it in feeling words. I feel this way when this is going on. I feel that way when this is going on. I mean, even with a work person. We had someone working here who I felt never listened when I was trying to talk to them about something was going on. And I finally had to say to her, you know what? This is just where I'm coming from, but it feels like you don't truly hear me when I'm trying to share stuff with you here at the office that has to do with the office. She was like, really? I said, yeah, you're always doing something else, and it doesn't feel like you're grasping it, you know? And that cleared up our relationship. It really made it a better, more productive relationship. No blaming. And like what I said before, coming from a place of describing your own feelings.
Like I feel like I'm not listening to you versus
you're not listening.
You're ignoring me, you're not paying attention, you're being rude.
Yes.
Instead of accusing them,
you own it. It belongs to you. And they might
it's a different
exactly, and they might respect it, they might disrespect it. You never know how a person's gonna respond to that. But then again, you can repeat
but
yourself.
at least you're trying to say it in a non-confronting way.
Exactly.
A non-accusatory way.
Yeah, exactly. I think if anyone here is like a manager or a boss of other people, or has to, you know, go in and tell people what they need to be doing to be more productive, that's something you need to be cognizant of. You know, I know you think that you're doing this, and that, because we've talked about it. But it feels to me like this, that, and bits are not getting done completely. So I really need us to work on a way for me to feel like it's getting done completely. So I don't have to go back and check your work. Does that make sense? Okay. So those were the areas I was covering. And that sort of finishes up the
Awesome job.